For today's cup of coffee, we're actually going to break this one up into 2 cups because after I got to reading all of it together, it could be kind of confusing.
Just a little bit.
And so, it does flow together, but people have to have inference on some of it. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that our viewers are not stupid people.
No, not at all.
So they have the ability to find the connections and see the connections where a lot of people don't or wouldn't, and that's why those people don't watch us.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That, and we don't have these high-tech whatever.
Nope.
And
We're
it's
fine
like,
with that.
yeah, I'm very much fine with it because this is basically podcast.
Yeah.
Now occasionally we have things for people to see. I mean, if something stupid happens, like the cats walking across the candle.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that panics all of us.
God, my heart stops every single time. I'm like, you dumb fuck, don't give me a heart attack.
Really? We're going to continue on today with probably what's going to be the last bit for this thing as far as David Icke. Mm. And this is going to run into something else because there's a lot of correlation.
Right.
And so it was a matter of one flowing into the other. Mm. And the other, the other article sort of goes off on its own tangent. And so after a certain point of reading, I'm like, okay, this no longer really references reptilians.
Uh-huh. We knew it would happen.
We did.
We knew it.
All right, there was a slight something to see there.
It's just like drops. Oh.
I was concerned. Scotch tape will not fix everything. Damn, I should have used Gorilla Tape. Duct tape. Duct tape will fix damn near anything.
Dear God. Oh.
Anyhow, going back, at least I had not begun on the articles. I was just doing the opening ramblings. Uh-huh. So, it's been one of those days. When we tell people we've had a bad day, it really is. Anyhow, I'm going to start out with this snippet, this excerpt from David Icke's The Biggest Secret. And this comes from the website, again, Bibliotheca Pleiades, and from Aurora 025 from October 2004, that was originally posted on the Forum FOC website. Forum FOC.
Forum FOC.
I like that. Anyhow, it starts out, in summary, a race of interbreeding bloodlines, a race within a race, in fact, were centered in the Middle and Near East in the ancient world, and over the thousands of years since have expanded their powers across the globe. A crucial aspect of this has been to create a network of mystery schools and secret societies to covertly introduce their agenda while at the same time creating institutions like religions to mentally and emotionally imprison the masses and set them at war with each other. Kid is over here doing something weird with his hands. It looks like he's throwing signs.
No, I'm trying to pop my fingers.
Okay. Because I didn't take the Stratera today.
And whose fault is
well,
that?
let me say this. As far as these are these people's opinions about all this stuff, and their opinions do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the management. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, the hierarchy of this tribe of bloodlines is not exclusively male, and some of its key positions are held by women. But in terms of numbers, it is overwhelmingly male, and this is Icke, will therefore refer to the group as the Brotherhood. Even more accurately, given the importance of ancient Babylon. What?
Babylonian? I was like, ooh,
Oh,
brothers.
Given the importance of ancient Babylon to this story, I will also call it the Babylonian Brotherhood. They plan the term the Great Work of Ages, and I will call that the Brotherhood Agenda. I will refer to the clay tablets, therefore, as the Sumerian text or tablets. Ooh. They are one of the greatest historical finds imaginable, and yet 150 years after they were discovered, they are still ignored by conventional history and education.
Ooh,
why? Because they demolished the official version of events. According to Zechariah Sitchin, now there's controversy about Sitchin and his work. That's where you would get into Michael Heiser, but we're going to roll with it today. The texts say that the Sumerian civilization was a, quote, gift from the gods, not mythical gods, but physical ones. The tablets call these gods the Anunnaki, which means those from heaven to earth came, and the Dingir, the righteous ones of the blazing rockets. The ancient text known as the Book of Enoch also calls the gods the Watchers, as did the Egyptians. The Egyptian name for their gods, the Natiru, literally translates as watchers, and they said that their gods came in heavenly boats. According to Zechariah Sitchin, the tablets describe how the Anunnaki came from the planet called Nibiru, which means the planet of the crossing, during the early formation of the solar system. Nibiru caused the near destruction of a planet that once existed between Jupiter and Mars. The Sumerians called it Tiamat, the planet they nicknamed the Watery Monster. And they say that it was debris from Tiamat's collision with Nibiru moon which created the Great Band Bracelet, the asteroid belt which is found between Mars and Jupiter. What remained of Tiamat was thrown into another orbit, the text says, and eventually became the Earth. And that's an interesting theory, but it's also one of those you wonder. Of course, you wonder as far as the spherical nature of any of the planets, because we can look at existing asteroids and they're usually very irregular in shape.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, but it says
It does.
The Sumerian name for the earth means cleaved. One means cleaved one because a vast hole was created, they say, by the collision. Interestingly, if you take away the water in the Pacific Ocean, you will be left with a gigantic hole. I don't know about that. I don't see. There's a lot of yeah, exactly. The So
I don't know.
well, this is a theory. I mean, this about Nibiru has been floating about for quite a while, and about the orbit of it, and I think that's the one that they also call Planet X. Was
the one that
Nibiru.
fucked everything up.
No, that was Wave X. That was
Wave
different.
X.
That was different. Now, going on that beginning, snippet by Ike,
Yes.
we have this article that is by J.R. Church, which was written on May 1st of 2011. Of course it was. And it's entitled Mount Hermon, Gate of the Fallen Angels. And this is the one that I'm going to start, and then we'll finish that tomorrow. Now, this is written from a Christian perspective, but it's also, even within the realm of Christianity, it's considered fringe.
Why?
Because it goes actually with the scripture. They believe what it says.
Okay.
And so Mr. Church writes, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Hermon means forbidden place. And Jerome, a 4th century translator of the Latin Vulgate Bible, interpreted Hermon as anathema. Anathema. I don't do well with the Latin.
That sounds like medical
Anathema is what it is.
Asthma.
No.
Asthma. That is some sort of issue with the lungs, similar to asthma, but it fucks you up just a little bit worse and takes a limb, maybe.
No, this is anathema. Well, it could be like it. It means cursed or damned.
Oh.
So maybe. So you can add that to your vocabulary. Anathema. And Mount Hermon was the port of entry for a group of wicked angels who corrupted the human race in the days of Noah. Moses wrote, quote, "The sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all that they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown," end quote. And rather than reading the chapter and verse, I'll put the link in the description. People can go and search the scripture for themselves as far as where it's at.
Yes.
This gentleman, Mr. Church, says that he had spoken to a couple of rabbis, and he said that it looks like Jose to me, or Josie says, following a tradition, that these Nephilim were Uzzah and Azazel, whom God deprived of their celestial sanctity. How, it may be asked, can they exist in this world? Rabbi Haya answers that they were of a class of spirits referred to in the words and the birds which fly on earth. And these, as we have said, appear to men in the form of human beings. If it is asked how can they transform themselves, the answer is that they do, in fact, transform themselves into all kinds of shapes, because when they came down from heaven, they became as concrete as air. I don't understand that phrase.
Yeah, that.
And take human shape. These were Uzzah and Azazel, who rebelled in heaven and were cast down by God and became corporeal on the earth and remained on it, not being able to divest themselves of their earthly form. Subsequently, they went astray after women, and up to this day they exist and teach men the arts of magic. They begat children whom they called Anakim, or giants, while the Nephilim themselves were called sons of God. Note that one rabbi alluded to a class of spirits described as birds in Genesis 1:20. Perhaps this was the origin of the story that angels had bird-like wings. I always wondered about that, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
It should also be noted that birds seem to have a reptilian connection.
The drone doves.
The phoenix was depicted as an eagle in the west, but in the east it was a winged dragon. From ancient lore, Satan was thought to be somewhat of a gargoyle with bat-like wings.
Ew.
The apocryphal book of Enoch enlarges upon the story of the Nephilim, and nearly all of the early church leaders knew of the book of Enoch. From that time on to about the 7th century, Christian literature produced ample proof of the constant use of this high-standing book. Now, early theologians, this is where you get into trouble, with possibly the one dissenting voice of Tertullian, deny the canonicity. I knew I was going to screw that up. The canonicity of this book, and properly regard it as apocryphal.
Canon City.
Yeah, really. Some even going so far as to deny the canonicity of Jude because he had dared to quote an apocryphal work. Now, if you're wondering what apocryphal means, it means of questionable authorship or authenticity. So, and that is, where they found snippets and stuff like that. And I do understand why it was not in the canon, because it's ancient. There's bits and pieces and snippets, and they don't know whether it's accurate or whether it's allegory, or that's most of the Bible.
Yeah.
So, the following is quoted from the book of Enoch, and I will say that if you're going to read the book of Enoch, I do encourage everybody to read it. You're going to look for First Enoch, because then there's other translations that they get out there someplace. And it came to pass, after the children of men had increased in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the angels, the sons of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and said one to another, Behold, we will choose for ourselves wives from among the children of men, and will beget for ourselves children. And they descended on Ardus, which is the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn on it and bound themselves mutually by a curse.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, all that's in the book of Enoch. Every bit of it. And this is why a lot of people, there are so many missing pieces if you don't read the whole thing. And some of these things, the book of Enoch, I can't remember where it was, is in some people's, I can't remember if it was the Ethiopian church, that it is very much part of their just regular Bible.
Okay. Well,
yeah, because they had enough sense to leave it alone.
Yeah.
Of all places on this planet where angels could have descended, it was on the northern border of the Promised Land. Perhaps knowing something about God's future plans to give territory to Abraham's descendants, these angels plotted their strategy to introduce the seed of the serpent into the human race. And also, Mount Hermon lay in the territory where Ham and his family migrated after God's judgment at the Tower of Babel. And it was according to Genesis 10:6. Ham had 4 sons, and the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Phut, P-H-U-T, and Canaan. Now, remember what Ike had said as far as, before we get too far along there, about the interbreeding bloodlines, a race within a race, centered in the Middle and Near East. So that's where Mount Hermon is. So to keep everybody up to date on this, because they're like, she's totally lost. Now, Canaan settled in the area of Mount Hermon and southward into the territory that was to become Abraham's promised land. This is why the promised land is called Canaan in the days of Moses and Joshua. Mizraim continued to move southward into Egypt. Coincidentally, Mount Hermon has 3 peaks, and Ham's family encountered another set of 3 peaks that had been built before the flood, those being 3 great pyramids.
Loves it.
Evidently, Mizraim was fascinated by these pyramids and developed a system of worship based on those ancient structures. Cush and Phut continued the family migration southward and settled in Ethiopia and parts of southern Africa. To this day, Mount Hermon is still the place where evil continually rains down upon Israel. This is his words, not mine. It is the area of the Syrians and Hezbollah. The book of Enoch continues. And they took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go into them and mixed with them, and taught them charms and conjurations, and made them acquainted with the cutting of roots and of woods. And they became pregnant and brought forth great giants, whose stature was 3,000 ells. Not eels, ales. And an ale in Babylonian measurement was 19.49 inches, or 49.5 centimeters. So 3,000 ells was 58,470 inches, or 4,872.5 feet. Now, more than likely, that's a little bit of allegory right there.
Yeah,
it's like they were large. They were really,
big
really
ass.
large. Okay.
Big ass stuff.
These giants devoured all the acquisitions of mankind till men were unable to sustain themselves, and the giants turned themselves against mankind in order to devour them.
Oof.
Oh yeah, and there is a Native American legend, which I'll have to hunt that one out.
He's eating like corn on the cob.
Right. Where that the giants were consuming the Native Americans, and that they trapped them in a cave. They placed whatever it was, bushes, trees, whatever, and set them on fire in order to destroy the giants. So it wasn't that these giants were just isolated to that part of the world.
Damn.
Yeah, there's lots. I think most cultures have legends of giants.
Yeah.
Okay, it seems that these fallen angels, the Nephilim, see, that's what I don't... The Nephilim, from things I have read, were actually the product of the fallen angels mating with human women. That they were, the offspring. Mm-hmm. So, but this is dude. I'm just reading what he wrote. Anyhow, that says that they contaminated almost all life on Earth. We do not know how many people were contaminated, but we are told that at least Noah's family remained genetically pure. Now remember that term.
Fucking mudbloods.
Really.
Fuck you, mudbloods.
For that reason, God destroyed the world with a flood. Had it not been for Noah and his 3 sons, those fallen angels might have brought an end to all life on the planet. Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth helped save the animals and repopulate the earth. Both Peter and Jude added further insight about these fallen angels. And Peter said, God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. Jude put it this way, the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Both passages tell of severe punishment upon the Nephilim. Yet Moses said that the sons of God reappeared after the flood. How can this be? Well, the book of Enoch only mentioned 200 angels, and Satan was not among them. Bear in mind, Satan's forces, and we're talking about Lucifer here.
Yeah.
Because Satan, it's actually Satan, and that is a job title. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's the district attorney that is accusing everybody. He's out to prosecute. Okay? Bear in mind that Satan's forces were much larger than 200. Perhaps the original group of Nephilim were scouts for a larger force of demonic angels who, under the leadership of Satan/Lucifer, came to earth after the flood. It seems to me that the Tower of Babel, meaning gate to God, may have been built in an effort to contact these dark forces and forge a defense against the threat of another judgment. And as noted above, Genesis 6:4 adds, and after that, meaning that more Nephilim returned to this area after the flood and established what Joshua called the land of giants. Moses and Joshua conquered those 2 giants, of whom Og was king. Moses wrote that Og's bed was almost 15 feet long. Now that was probably accurate. Og reigned in Mount Hermon. So we're going to stop there, because then on tomorrow's cup we can pick up more about Enoch and the fallen angels. And like I said, that was that man's interpretation. Some of the things that I have done, that was 2011, so there's been people that have looked into that more.
Yeah.
But tomorrow it will go into as far as the seed of the serpent. Yeah. Because you had the seed of the woman, which was the foretelling of Christ.
Yeah.
So the seed of the serpent, do I think that very well could mean them interbreeding with women? Absolutely.
Yep. Could have been.
As far as, trying to change, alter the genetic code, the DNA code that God created.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't fuck with it.
Right. And so with this, there is very much a correlation from what Ike is saying about the reptilians and what Scripture is telling us about the reptilians. Snakes don't talk.
No,
so whatever
don't.
that was in the Garden of Eden, and there are even people that do believe that Cain was the product of the serpent, whatever they called the serpent, and Eve. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Hybrid creatures. It happened before. What makes us think it hasn't happened since then? The fallen ones were not stupid. Evil, but not stupid.
Yeah.
So, in thousands of years, could they have modified their techniques a little bit? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Just need to work on that just a little bit.
So, reptilians. Do I believe that there are those that walk amongst us that have that genetic makeup? Absolutely.
Yes. Because we know they do.
Sure. And as far as the fallen angels, that they could not return, that they are walking amongst us and can appear, that very well could be where some of the legends of the shapeshifters came from.
We could see one, like a reptilian or whatever, when we go to Walmart next time.
I don't want to see the reptilians. I just see stupid people.
Well, the reptilian could be one of the stupid people in there.
Well, they could be. No,
those are the pretending
sheep.
to be
Those are the sheep.
Yeah.
Blissfully unaware. God love them. So anyhow, we'll continue on about Mount Hermon. And there's some people that call it Mount Hermon. And I'm like, oh, please don't do that. Please don't. It is Hermon. As many things as I mispronounce, that one I actually know how to pronounce. But it all flows together at some point. It makes sense in my mind. Hopefully it'll make sense in somebody else's mind that they're connecting dots also. Lots of people are doing that.
Yes.
But for there to be 3 points on there and then the 3 pyramids that... the way that was written, it almost was like that the pyramids were there prior to the fall. And we don't know.
We don't know.
I mean...
Be interesting.
It would make sense that the angels had to fall first before they could be here tempting Eve. Mm-hmm. So they had already screwed up. Now the Watchers, they were set here to, watch mankind.
Yeah.
And that some of them that they're just like, no, we ain't gonna watch. We gonna mess with them. And here we are today.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah. Don't know. Just, yeah. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And it very much went along with some of the things that Ike has said. So, and then we'll continue on tomorrow. Barring unforeseen, we're supposed to have weather tomorrow, but we'll have to, you've got to finish the laundries, but hopefully we can get this other cup recorded in case the power goes out.
Yeah.
So.
I hope I can do the laundries.
That's all right. If you need to take a break from the laundries, it's all right, because we had a hell of a lot of laundries.
I don't want to take a break from the laundries. I want to continue doing the laundries until it's done.
Okay. You do you, baby. I appreciate it. I did the laundries for years. So, anyhow. Mm-hmm. So, if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, reptilians, laundries... If you've got local, regional, family, myths, legends, send us an email to cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com.
Yes.
And people on YouTube, at least, that was crazy yesterday because that they had given that little disclaimer on the one thing.
Which is like, why the fuck?
Right.
How the
really.
fuck?
And it's so having to speak almost in code on YouTube. At least I can speak English on the title on BitChute. Thank God for BitChute.
Yep.
I'm a fan of BitChute. I really am.
That's okay.
And
I don't read comments.
My people, they don't comment. They just watch and they go about their day. And I appreciate them having coffee with us and pondering great ponderings. And
listen, I don't mind lurkers. I myself am a lurker. So.
Well, no, they're just quiet. That's okay. It's okay. No, we don't mind that.
No.
So know that you are loved and that you are appreciated. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you would like to contribute and you don't want to fool with the comment section, send me, an email. I'm usually pretty amicable. Most days. Except when I'm fighting the cats.
God.
Oh,
you get frustrated with them.
I do.
Your fuse is short with them.
No. It's just that they have been doing that many things. After a point, anybody's nerves would become frayed.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yes, it is. Because I have coffee, I have mocha creamer, and I still have peppermint schnapps. Yeah, life is good. Life is good. So you all have a beautiful, blessed day, and we'll see you on the next cup.
Yes. Don't forget to like, share, and most of all, comment, subscribe, and click that notification thing. Bye.
Bye.